on page 15, you can highlight that we call a series the sum of the terms in a sequence. So an arithmetic series is when you're adding up an arithmetic sequence. And if you just add up one term, you would get 5. Add up 2, you would get 5 plus 8. 5 plus 8 plus 11. So we use that little number to say how many of the terms you're adding up. And sometimes these are called partial sums because the thing keeps on going forever, but you're only adding up to a certain amount. Okay? And what we noticed was that if you add, like if I write this backwards, the first and that last term add up to the same thing as every single one. So we always end up with n of them. And if we turn to the next page, there's a box at the bottom. Where the box is. There it is. Right? This is the formula that we saw already. N times term 1 plus term n divided by 2. So you add your first and your last one, times it by n, and then divide by 2. And then there's a second formula because the very first formula we learned yesterday was this Tn formula, right? And if Tn is equal to T1n minus d, then in the first formula, if I have Tn, I could decide to use this first formula and substitute all of this in instead. If I do that, the term 1 and term 1 makes 2 term 1s. And I get a second formula. Why do we have 2 formulas? Well, we're going to make a little note here. We're going to use that formula with a black box around it when you know the first and last terms. And the purple one sometimes you'll know the last term, but sometimes you'll only know the first term and the common difference. So these 2 formulas are helpful that way, because sometimes you'll know one and not the other. Then you can use the second formula. So with that, we are ready to look at example 1. We want to determine the sum of the first 6 terms. So we want to find S6. Do we know term 1? Do we know term 6? Does it have enough that it shows us term 6? Yes. So then when you go to your formula sheet, you'd say, I know the last term, term 6, so I would use this formula. Sum 6 says that I'm finding 6 terms, so then my n is 6. Term 1 is 25. Term 6 is the negative 30, right? Because this would be term 1, term 2, 3, 4, 5. This is term 6. All divided by 2. And then we just do our mental math. So this would be 6 times a negative 5, all divided by 2. And we get negative 15. Circle question number 4.